Maybe it's the early hours of the morning, or perhaps a little midnight snack. You're in the kitchen. A porcelain bowl sits in front of you. In your hand is that familiar, colorful cardboard box. You tilt the box slowly and golden, paper-thin, crispy flakes pour into your bowl. Corn flakes. You add cold milk on top. Maybe a little sugar or a few slices of banana. You dip your spoon in and hear that beloved crunch. This is one of the most standard scenes of the modern world. From America to Europe, from Asia to Africa, millions of people start their day almost exactly like this. Cute mascots, smiling children, slogans like, "Start your day fresh," and more. Corn flakes are a symbol of innocence. They are convenience. They are the practicality of modern life. But, let me let you in on a little secret. When you lift that spoon to your mouth, have you ever stopped to think about what you are actually eating? These flakes were not invented to fill your stomach. No, these flakes were not invented to be delicious either. In fact, in the original recipe for these flakes, the presence of sugar, salt, or any sweetener was strictly forbidden. Why? Because those yellow flakes you see in the bowl right now were actually conceived as a medical suppressant. The goal wasn't to suppress hunger. The goal was to suppress sexual desire. The goal was to stop the act that was the greatest nightmare of the 19th century, viewed by doctors and priests as spiritual and physical suicide. Masturbation. Yes, you heard that right. The Kellogg's empire is built upon the bloody war between two brothers who hated each other to death, a cult obsessed with bowels, and a doctor who wanted to eradicate sexual urges. Unfortunately, there are no innocent morning breakfasts in this story. In this story, there are 15-liter yogurt enemas, electric chairs, industrial espionage, burned-down factories, and million-dollar lawsuits. Put your bowl aside. Because the story of how cornflakes came to be is a story much harder to digest than you might think. To understand our story, we must rewind time a bit. Let's go to America in the late 1800s, just after the Civil War. Think of the people of that era. Those sullen, serious, constantly unhappy-looking people you see in photographs. Do you know why they never smiled? Because their stomachs hurt. The entire nation was suffering from a chronic stomach ache. At the time, they called it dyspepsia. In other words, indigestion. But why? Because the 19th century breakfast table was, by today's standards, a complete suicide attempt. There were no refrigerators. No food safety regulations. Pasteurization hadn't been developed yet. Do you know what the average American ate as soon as they woke up? Steaks swimming in pork fat, smoked meats, boiled potatoes, and similar foods buried in salt to keep them from spoiling. And what do you think they drank with it? Freshly squeezed orange juice? I don't think so. Beer. Or whiskey. Exactly, whiskey was drunk at the crack of dawn to numb the stomach against those heavy, greasy meats. The result was a terrible disaster. America was overflowing with people suffering from constipation, heartburn, constant flatulence, and consequently, people who were irritable and neurotic. People thought they were being poisoned. And they were right. They were poisoning themselves with what they ate. Doctors didn't know what to do. Pharmacies sold fake stomach elixirs containing opium and mercury. But these elixirs didn't cure people. They killed them faster. Right in the middle of this chaos, people began searching for a savior. Someone who would heal not just their bodies but their souls. A father figure who would blend science with religion and tell them what to eat and how to live. And that figure would come to the rescue from the rural parts of Michigan, scalpel and Bible in hand. His name, John Harvey Kellogg. John Harvey Kellogg. Let me paint a picture for you to visualize him. Short, stocky, with carefully combed white hair and a pointed beard we call a goatee. And an obsession with white. He dressed in white from head to toe. White suit, white vest, white shirt, white hat, and of course white shoes. Even in the middle of winter, he would walk around in these white clothes. Because for him, white was the symbol of purity, hygiene, and sinlessness. And on his shoulder, yes, he often carried a white cockatoo on his shoulder. This man was the most well-known doctor of the era. But he was also a devoted member of the Seventh-day Adventist sect. Kellogg had finished medical school, yes. He was very smart. He was one of the few doctors of that time to accept the reality of bacteria, as we know it today. However, Kellogg's mind worked with a strange mixture of medicine and faith. According to him, diseases had two fundamental causes. First, dirty intestines. Second, sexual desires. According to Kellogg, the human body was a temple, and we were defiling that temple by eating meat, consuming spicy foods, and drinking alcohol. Eating meat awakened the animalistic urges inside a human, especially sexuality. Kellogg's ideas on sexuality would be seen as madness by today's standards. He wasn't single, no. But he never, not even once, had sexual intercourse with his wife. In fact, do you know what happened on their honeymoon? Kellogg didn't leave his room throughout the honeymoon and wrote a book titled Plain Facts for Old and Young, advocating celibacy. His wife accompanied him on the typewriter. Did they have children? Yes. But they were all adopted. Because according to him, biological reproduction was an animalistic and disgusting act. Kellogg's archenemy was masturbation. At that time it was called self-pollution. In the books he wrote, Kellogg screamed that masturbation led to leprosy, blindness, insanity, and early death. The solutions he proposed to keep young people away from this plague were horrifying. He recommended that boys' foreskins be sewn shut without anesthesia. What? So that when they had an erection they would feel pain and stop doing it. For girls, he suggested applying acid to the clitoris. This person with these sadistic ideas was about to become America's most beloved, most trusted health guru. The place where Kellogg realized these ideas was the city of Battle Creek in Michigan. The name of the facility he established there was the Battle Creek Sanitarium. But the public simply called it the San. The San was not a hospital. It wasn't a motel either. The San was the world's first and largest example of health tourism. It was a temple where the rich came to be cleansed of their sins. There were huge columns at the entrance gate. The lobby was designed like a luxurious European hotel. Inside there were palm trees, musical instruments, concert halls. Who came here? The automobile sovereign Henry Ford. The oil king John D. Rockefeller. The inventor Thomas Edison. Aviation legend Amelia Earhart. Presidents of the United States. They were all waiting in line for Dr. Kellogg's extraordinary treatments. So, what kind of treatments were applied behind such magnificent walls? This is where the story turns into a horror movie. One would wake up before sunrise and exercise in freezing water. But Kellogg's favorite treatment was hydrotherapy, or water therapy. People were kept in tubs full of water for hours, even days. And of course, those famous bowel washing sessions. Kellogg believed that the intestines needed to be constantly washed. He had huge enema machines of his own invention. These machines could pump 15 liters of water into people's intestines per minute. He didn't stop at just water. To clean the intestinal flora, Kellogg would administer yogurt enemas to patients. Yes, you heard that right. Wealthy businessmen, those serious politicians, did not object to liters of yogurt being pumped into their rectums on the word of this white-clad doctor. But the most scrutinized thing was the diet. Silence reigned in the sanitarium's dining hall. There was no meat on the tables. Alcohol was absolutely absent. No caffeine. No spices. Not even salt. Kellogg fed his patients tasteless, saltless, bland boiled wheat porridge and hard rusks. Because flavor invited passion. Tasteless food, on the other hand, calmed the human. Kellogg's goal was to find a food so boring to destroy sexual energy, and so hard to chew, that people would get exhausted while eating and fall asleep. However, there was a problem. People hated this food. Rich businessmen would sneak down to the city without anyone knowing, eat steak, and then return to the sanitarium. The rusks were so hard that the teeth of elderly patients couldn't withstand them and broke. Kellogg urgently needed to find a food that was simple to digest but still plain enough to kill desires. And he would give the task of finding this food not to himself, but to his brother who lived in his shadow, was looked down upon and oppressed. Enter Will Keith Kellogg, the secret hero of our story. Dr. John Harvey Kellogg was the shiny face of the sanitarium. He was the light of the stage, the Messiah in white. But behind every shining light, there is a shadow that ensures that light does not go out. The shadow of the Kellogg empire was the doctor's downtrodden brother, Will Keith Kellogg. Will was very different from his brother. The doctor was charismatic and extroverted. Will was quiet, introverted, and shy. The doctor had full white hair. Will had gone bald at an early age. The doctor walked in a world of dreams. Will was the realistic accountant calculating the bills for those dreams. So what was Will's job at the sanitarium? Everything. Controlling the cleaners, paying for materials, keeping the books, even cleaning his brother's shoes. Dr. Kellogg treated his brother not like a partner, but like a servant. The salary he gave Will was so low that Will's clothes were wearing out. His shoes had holes in them. The greatest anecdote remaining from that era is this. Dr. Kellogg would ride a bicycle in the mornings to exercise. He would do laps in front of the sanitarium. And while doing so, he still wanted to bark orders. Poor Will, with his notepad and pen in hand, would try to write down what his brother said while running alongside the bicycle. A man running in a suit, out of breath, sweating, and an arrogant brother looking down on him from atop a bicycle. This image fueled the anger inside Will for years. Will thought, I am a nobody. I am just my brother's shadow. But fate was about to give this quiet man something his brother could never achieve. An accidental mistake and an opportunity to change the world. The year is 1894. A crisis occurred at the sanitarium. Elderly patients with missing teeth could no longer consume those hard biscuits. Dr. Kellogg called Will. Find me something simple to digest, easy to chew, but plain enough not to arouse sexual desires, he said. The two brothers started working in the kitchen in the basement of the sanitarium. They were boiling wheat, turning it into dough, then trying to pass it through rollers to get thin sheets. But it wasn't working. The dough was sticking to their mouths, turning into mush. And then, that mistake that changed history appeared. One day, boiled wheat was forgotten in the pot. Maybe an important matter came up, maybe a patient got worse. When they returned, they saw that the wheat had gone cold, stale, and was about to mold. Normally, it should have been thrown straight into the trash. Because wasting food was a great sin at the time, they said, let's run it through the machine anyway, maybe we can save it. Will poured those stale wheat berries between the rollers. He turned the machine. Their expectation was for those sticky dough pieces to come out again. But no. From the end of the cylinder, something they had never known before began to pour out. Individual, non-sticky, thin, flaky pieces. Each grain of wheat had flattened on its own and become a large flake. They were bewildered. They took these flakes and put them in the oven. The result? Crispy, light food that melted in the mouth. Will popped one in his mouth. This. He said, this is wonderful. Dr. Kellogg, on the other hand, immediately thought of the medical aspect. Excellent. Easy to chew and it has no taste at all. Just as I wanted. They named it Granos. The next morning they served it to the patients with milk. The patients loved it. For the first time, instead of that disgusting wheat porridge, they were eating something crunchy and fun. A revolution had happened in the kitchen. Will later tried this recipe with corn. And right then the Corn Flakes we know today came into existence. However, there were not only employees in the sanitarium's kitchen. The walls had ears. A person staying at the sanitarium as a patient at that time, C.W. Post. Post was a failed businessman. He was depressed, his stomach was sick, and he didn't have a penny in his pocket. He had offered to work in the kitchen to pay for his treatment costs. And this man was watching Will take those golden flakes out of the oven. He was constantly asking questions. How did you do this? What is the pressure of the rollers? What temperature is the oven? Naive Will had told him everything. But Will sensed something was wrong. He went to his brother, John. He said, "This person, Mr. Post, I think he's watching us. He's going to steal our recipe." Dr. Kellogg laughed arrogantly. "Let him steal it. What can he do? He's just a poor, sick man. But I am Dr. Kellogg. No one will buy a food released without my approval." What a huge mistake. When his treatment was over, C.W. Post left Battle Creek. He set up his own tiny factory just a few miles outside the city. And he started producing that cereal, identical to the Kellogg's recipe, which he named Grape Nuts. But there was one thing Post did that Kellogg hadn't thought of: advertising. Post placed hundreds of ads in newspapers. "This cereal cures appendicitis, makes the brain work sharper, it builds blood." Of course, all were lies. But the public believed it. C.W. Post became a multimillionaire within a few years. The Kellogg brothers were condemned to watch Post rise from the window of the sanitarium. Will was going crazy with grief. He stole our idea. He got rich. We are still distributing it to patients here for free. This event was the final point where the ropes between the two brothers came to the breaking point. The year is 1906. Will Kellogg is now 46 years old. He had spent most of his life in his brother's shadow. He couldn't take it anymore. Will entered his brother's room, placed a bowl of corn flakes on the table. "John," he said, "we must stop selling this only to patients. We must sell this to the whole country, to the markets." Dr. John said, "It could happen on the condition that my name and picture are not used." Will agreed, but he had a condition. "It tastes like straw, John. People are buying what Post produces because it's tastier. We need to add a little sugar to ours." The room froze for a moment. For Dr. John Harvey Kellogg, the word sugar was no different from an insult. "Sugar?" he shouted. "Will you add that white curse that poisons people to my unique formula? Sugar is a sin. Sugar inflames desires. Never." For the first time in his life, Will stood up to his brother. "I don't care, John. People want this. I'm going to add sugar." This was their last conversation. Will Keith Kellogg took his coat and walked out of the sanitarium. He founded his own brand, Battle Creek Toasted Corn Flake Company. And he put sugar malt on the corn flakes. The result? A bombshell. People loved this new flavor. Will showed off his marketing genius. He put his own signature on the boxes, W.K. Kellogg. And under it he noted, "The original bears this signature." This was the biggest blow to his brother. He was screaming, "I am the real Kellogg." Later, Dr. John Harvey sued his brother for using the name Kellogg. "I am a world-famous doctor, he is a nobody. My surname is my brand," he said. Courtrooms witnessed the fight of the two brothers for years. But the judge finally reached a decision. "Dr. Kellogg, you are famous in the medical world. But the one who made the name Kellogg a commercial brand and carried it to every home is Will. He is the one who should use the name." Will won the case. John lost everything. The sanitarium fell into debt, lost its popularity. C.W. Post ended his life. Dr. John Harvey Kellogg closed his eyes to life at the age of 91 as a lonely and slightly mad man. There are rumors that he wrote a peace letter to his brother before he died, saying, "I was wrong." Will's secretary received the letter. Will was very busy at the time. He didn't read the letter. "I'll look at it later," he said. Years later, when his brother died, he opened the letter. And when he read it, he sobbed uncontrollably. But it was too late. In the present day, look at those aisles when you go to the market. Colorful, cute boxes, chocolate balls, honey pieces, sugar-coated flakes. They all bear that red signature, Kellogg's. Well, Kellogg became one of the richest men in the world. He dedicated his fortune to children. But the greatest irony of history was this: that tasteless food for which Dr. John Harvey Kellogg strove to suppress sexual desires, to distance people from pleasure, and to keep them pure, has today become the world's most sugary breakfast, the one that triggers the most dopamine release, the most pleasurable one. Is Dr. Kellogg turning in his grave? Highly likely. But well, here's the sound of his unique victory against his brother in that crunch coming out of millions of bowls every morning. Don't underestimate Corn Flakes. In that spoon there is ambition, faith, conflict, and sugar. Our story ends here. Finally, we leave you with a single question. What will you eat for breakfast this morning? Thanks for listening. And sweet dreams. If your stomach can handle it,